Hey, good evening, Wellspring. I want to welcome you to tonight's Fireside chat. We're so glad to be able to speak to you tonight. Surrounded here by a circle of friends from our Wellspring family. And they've been part of a journey over this last year of what we've been calling healing conversations. This has been an intentional initiative here at Wellspring to begin to talk about the things that have divided us, racial and ethnic concerns, with the goal towards we share our hearts and journeys with one another, we learn to know one another better, and we have a greater sense of appreciation for who we are, and we've been deepening friendships and relationships as well as learning along the way. So in response to the events of the last 2.5 weeks in our country, last Thursday night we had a prayer gathering here in the parking lot. Out of that came an idea that we might just want to invite all of you into one of these healing conversations. And so tonight we're going to have a little shorter version of that conversation. There's 2 questions that we're going to be addressing. These folks are going to be sharing our response with you. I'm serving as your host. I won't be answering the questions just for the sake of time. And so the first question is this. This is actually the question that we started with, our very first healing conversation. And that is, when did race or ethnicity become more than a word or a concept? So each of you will have 3 minutes to respond, and Kirsten, we're going to give you a shot to go first.
So race became more than just a concept. Honestly, I think of 2 examples. One was, I recall being with my family. We were if you were around in the 80s, it was the old Civic Center in Hartford, and we were eating in the cafeteria. And I remember noticing someone that was looking for food and just had questions. And I noticed the ethnicity of that person was Black. And I was surprised and I was saddened by what was happening. And the second part of what comes to mind is in elementary school. I lived in a town that was a suburb. We were pretty much white, and I had a new 2nd grader show up in the middle of the year, who became a great friend, and she was like the first Black person, one of the first few in my elementary school. And I recall comments from classmates about things that she could be called or told to avoid her, like all sorts of things. And they were things that, had been shared with me in my own family that are attitudes of my heart that I shouldn't have. And so, I pressed through and I tried to welcome her. And, pretty quickly, people realized that she's trustworthy and she was a person to get to know and move forward with that. And just really struck me personally that it's sad that that is how things are, that we are often taught these attitudes towards people that are unfair and unkind.
Thanks. All right. You have 45 seconds. You want to seek your time, anyone? That was great. Thank you. Same question, Jake. Let me turn to you.
All right. So I remember at a very young age, I guess I'll sort of set the context. I grew up in an apartment complex in my early years in Meriden, Connecticut, and we lived in this apartment complex, which was sort of neighboring a low-income housing project. And most of the people in the apartment complex white, but there were also some African Americans and some Latinos. And in the low-income housing project, it was almost exclusively African Americans and Latinos. And this was at a very young age. I remember that at times when some of the tenants from the low-income housing project walked through our area, some of my neighbors would make comments. And one in particular was around the Puerto Ricans. And the general consensus among some of my friends was that we needed to be very careful when the Puerto Ricans walked through because they carried knives. And they were very dangerous. And I remember going to my dad and saying, "Hey, Dad, we need to be careful because there's a lot of Puerto Ricans walking through here and they have knives." And so my dad put his arm around me and he called me by my nickname, which was actually Tito. Tito in Spanish, and said, "Tito, you're Puerto Rican." And I remember sort of trying to absorb that and thinking, oh, so I'm Puerto Rican. I don't run around with a knife. What does it mean that my friends think that Puerto Ricans are dangerous? What does it mean that I'm Puerto Rican? And does it matter? How does that change things in any way, shape, or form? And that was a very early impression. But I also remember in some later years going through school. I went through grade school in a school where I was the only, well, my sister and I were the only Puerto Ricans in the school. And I remember at times kids that got to know me, my classmates, would sometimes tell stories that were derogatory relative to Puerto Ricans. And so they would maybe say a joke or say something derogatory, and then they would recall that I was Puerto Rican. And so in that instance, wind it down, right? So in that. So I'll just wrap it up by saying there were times when classmates of mine would say things that were derogatory to Puerto Rican and recall that I was Puerto Rican, or I would say, "Hey, I'm Puerto Rican," and they would differentiate in their minds and say, "Oh, you're Puerto Rican, but you're not one of those spics." It was a very derogatory term for Puerto Rican. And I remember sort of growing up with that sort of duality, like, okay, are there different types of Puerto Ricans? And as I grew up, obviously I think they include that, no, I'm a Puerto Rican. And there are not Puerto Ricans in space, there are Puerto Ricans. But I had to work through that, given the context of which I grew up.
Thanks, Jake. Judith.
I told you you were going to call me. I felt it. So for me, race became more of a concept because, so a little bit about me, I was born in Ghana, West Africa, and so I'm an immigrant. I came here when I was 5, and my mom, like before I started school, so I came here when I was 5, I was going to start kindergarten, and I remember my mom telling me, "You're not like the other kids." She said, "You're an alien." And to say that to a little kid, I have kids, I can even imagine telling my children that they are aliens because we have a whole different thinking of what an alien is. So she told me that I am not like the kids that I'm going to be going to school with, and so I need to behave properly because, I don't want to be singled out. She didn't want me to be singled out. Yeah, it was kind of a hard concept, and it was weird for me to navigate childhood being an alien and not really understanding what that might mean, how that would mean in terms of like interacting with people. I mean, I still make friends. I didn't tell anyone that I was an alien though. I didn't know what the reception would be. So I kept that to myself. And then another instance would be in, for me, like probably upper elementary, so like 4th to 5th grade. I went to a youth school, so I started off in school in Hartford, like public school, and then I went to private Catholic school in Hartford. And some of the reception, like it was generally a mixed school. Primarily, it was Hispanics and Blacks that were at the school. Some few white children. And I remember one time someone said that, oh, I told someone that I was African, and they were like, oh, African, so you speak that crazy language, right? And they made that like clicking sound, and I was like, no. And then it was just kind of like, I don't know how to navigate my culture, my race, and my ethnicity, being a child where everyone is, as far as I knew, American, you know? So that was from early on for me. It was more than just, you're Black, and you're different, you're Black, but you're Black, and you're from another country, and you are an alien.
Just try that on. Son, let me tell you, you're an alien. Wow. I'm going to share a story from where I got this question. The pastor's group I alluded to earlier. I was in a small group, and one of my colleagues, who's a Black pastor in Hartford, said the first time race became more than work for him, he was walking down the street with his cousin and his uncle, who was 5 years old. And they were just walking down the street. And the next thing he knew, his uncle was on the ground with a police officer. And it's still heartbreaking. I can remember looking at this friend's face and hearing the story. And, I mean, we know these things happen, but when your friend tells you this, it's a different game. And it was heartbreaking. So, Linda, we're going to turn to you. And what was the first time you remember that race was more than a word or a concept?
So this feels a little embarrassing, but I feel like I have a story from like my childhood to go back to. So really, in the past 2 years is really when my awareness of race has grown. And some of it started with just my workplace is very diverse, and my coworkers are diverse as well. So I've worked in my profession with diverse families, but not so much with diverse colleagues. And also where I work is also talking a lot about these types of issues. So there's been some open conversation about it. So that in the past 2 years, I just feel like my eyes are starting to open. And honestly, in a lot of ways, I was kind of oblivious to it before that. So some things would happen and I'd be puzzled by it, and now looking at that, realizing that some of the things that you raised that puzzled me that I didn't really understand. And the other part is I have colleagues who I work with who have kids like I do, and they're really afraid for their Black and brown boys. And they have to have a whole different conversation with their boys now than I ever had to have with my boys. And that, I think, really, really impacted me, realizing the different conversations and the different limitations they need to put on their kids so that their kids will be safe when they grow up. That one really hit close to home.
Yeah, and thank you, Linda. And you were at our first healing conversation about a year ago now. And how did that impact you to be was at one table the first night that we had that. How did that get you to be part of it?
So it was great. I struggled with the questions, answering them. You feel a little, I struggled with feeling a little like, oh, what am I saying, wrong thing, that kind of thing. But it was good to hear people's stories. And I came away with a couple nuggets of things I could do to pursue this. And I did with one of the women that was at the table, well, why don't you go look at this, or read this, or watch this? And that just kept the journey going. And so it was it was really great to do that at church. It was really great to have that conversation.
Thank you. Donald, I'm going to turn to you.
Okay. I grew up in Maryland, also in a project that was diverse. We had a lot of mixture of good blacks, Puerto Ricans, and whites in that project. But when I went to elementary school, I was the only black kid in the class. And at times, I did get picked on or anything, but what happened at times, if there was a black girl in the class, she was automatically my girlfriend. Because she was black. I get teased every once in a while with that. But I guess one of the things that stood out in my mind was during social studies. Only time I saw a black person in the book was they were in the cotton field, being enslaved, or they were in Africa holding the spear. And that kind of bothered me because, every time we had a film or something that when it came up, I get the look, But what helped me through that was that the diversity of my neighborhood and getting along with each other, and all the families pretty much got along with each other. But growing up, I happened to move into the center of the area, and probably for me was the project you're talking about, because I did coach that project, everybody's in those ones. And when I went to school there, in that area, so all the blacks in my class, I thought I got into heaven. I said, wait, So, but I had, during the 60s was considered a turmoil type decade. But for me, it was an enlightenment. Because at that time, the civil rights was being signed into voting rights, etc. And blacks were becoming familiar with themselves. And we made a lot of connections and we identified with our African brothers at that time. We wasn't ashamed of ourselves. I was ashamed. If somebody called me black, even a black person, it was a fight. So, but at that time, I evolved into having pride in myself because of what happened during the 60s. And what really put over the top was James Brown with that record. Say it loud, like an umbrella. I mean, literally, it had an impact. And, and it was great because we started to identify who we were and being proud of ourselves. And especially in making our connections with our African brothers and sisters.
That was perfect timing. Well, Lynn will always say the best of luck.
So, yeah, I grew up in Newington, in a predominantly white neighborhood, apartment complex. I remember in high school we had, I had a few black friends, and they were more acquaintances, but I remember Newington High School, there was a kid named Sebby Beal, and he was hilarious. He was like the class clown, cracking. But it really wasn't until I got into my adult life, my mid-20s, that I had a black friend from work. Her name was Jackie Doggins, actually it was Jackie Gaston. She got married. Jackie was hilarious. She had a great sense of humor. We got along really well. And one day she asked me if I wanted, she was a Christian, she asked me if I wanted to go out to her church in Hartford. And I think it was I remember it was Mount Moriah. And so I went and, wow, what a culture shock. All of a sudden, I was the only white person. And I walked in there, and it was the kind of church where they had church all day long. And all the ladies were dressed up to the nines, they had hats on, and she had these little white gloves. And I was so self-conscious about being the only white person that I just was, I just felt like everybody was staring at me. And I remember I had to go to the bathroom and I did not move. I didn't want to get up out of my seat because I didn't want to draw attention to myself. Sat there for like 3 hours. But yeah, so I got a taste of what it's like to be, the shoes on the other foot, so to speak, where I'm the minority. And that was a good experience, I think. But there's a lot of stories that I can tell about being Jackie. What am I going to do left?
In 55 seconds.
One night after work, she asked me if I wanted to go out. Now, this was a real cultural experience. We went to a bar in Hartford, and went over to the jukebox, and I was looking through, and I get 10 songs for a buck, right? So it got to be the last song, and I saw Aretha Franklin, "Oh Happy Day," on the jukebox. And I said, okay. Once I got over my shock that would be on the jukebox, I said, I wonder what would happen if I put that song on. Well, I found out. The song started, and about a third of the way into the song, when it gets to the part, Lord Jesus washing all our sins away, the bartender, his neck snapped up, and he looked around the bar. Who put that song on? And he makes a beeline with it. I could hear the needles scratching across the room. And Jackie's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. So you gotta get us kicked out of here. That was an interesting experience.
That's awesome. I was going to remind you this was a church audience, but like.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
That's great. In our healing conversations gatherings, once at the table we have all shared our responses to the question at hand. Then we've had a facilitator at each table who's then, we've just done some processing. We're not going to take time for that tonight, but so out of what we've heard, there will be opportunity for Don and Jay. They can compare notes because they grew up in the same town. And I would have a lot of questions, just curiosity kind of questions that I would want to ask each one. We're getting to learn to know our brothers and sisters a little bit better, and it helps understand that what's a central reality and often is the unspoken elephant in the room, we can talk about it. And we need to talk about it. And it's important for us to share our journey. And Linda, I want to applaud your courage because you're just like out there on the World Wide Web and you're saying, hey, I'm late to the party on this. You're not alone in that, but I just want to thank you for being brave. The second question we want to talk about tonight is a little bit harder, and it's going to be tough to respond to in 3 minutes. But our second question is, what has been your heart reaction to the events in our country over the last 2.5 weeks? And I think we'll just go with the same order. So, Kirsten, we're going to start off with you.
It's funny, I was asked a very similar question about these events earlier this week, and we had to use one word to describe our reactions, and I used the word grieved. Anybody that knows knows me really well knows that I feel things on a pretty deep level. And so it just kind of felt like 4 or 5 days of me like swirling in and out of really deep emotions about these events. Yeah, I mean, it can be really easy, I think, when events like this happen to go into like trying to like explain it. And I tried to kind of like not try to explain it, just to grasp it, and to feel it, and then just feel like on a really deep level, as a person of faith, just my heart cried like, this is wrong, and this can't go on anymore. And how can I raise my voice in my life to create space so that there's healing, so that we can talk about these hard things together, so that we can learn to love each other, so that we can build more relationships across cultures. I have had the privilege to know many people cross-culturally, specifically out of some local mission work that I've done. And I just kept thinking about, how can I reach out to them and how can I love them right now? And what would they want me as their white-skinned sister in Christ have to respond? So I've spent a lot of time in prayer, I'm excited, honestly, for this moment that we're at a place where, like, people are ready to talk that haven't been willing to talk about this before. Because, like, when something's hidden long enough, it's still in the darkness, but now that it's been exposed to the light, now we can see it. So, like, my heart cried, just help us see what's been exposed and help us to be creators of solutions.
Thank you. Mr. Below.
I think like many people, I experienced a rush, a lot of different emotions. I saw a video of George Floyd, and I tried to identify what the different emotions and feelings and thoughts were. And I had a long list with a long mental list in my mind. But I think the one that jumps out the most was a sense of loss. In the last several months, I've lost a couple of aunts, and in each case, I had someone in the family call me and tell me that my aunt had passed away. And to your point, Kirsten, is a sense of grieving. But I was spared seeing it. When I watched the video, I saw such a sense of loss for his life. I felt a sense of loss for his future. I felt a sense of loss for his children, his family, his friends. I know, I didn't know him. I don't know him personally. But I felt like the world lost something. And there was no justifiable reason for that. second, I guess, emotion I had was one of anger. And the anger that I felt was one where it was, I guess, analogous to if when I see someone do something that's unfair to someone else, a bully is attacking someone else, someone stealing from someone else. And tied to that feeling of loss was when we talk about Satan coming to steal, to kill, and destroy. I felt like I watched that before. And that coupled with a look of indifference and the cavalier attitude with which the act was conducted caused me to be angry physically and spiritually to the point where I almost left.
Judith?
So kind of going on the theme of here's kind of going on the theme of here's if I had one word that I would describe, it would be hurt. And I believe it's hurt, kind of like what they said. Just seeing someone's life be taken from them in such a manner. As a Black woman and as a Christian, the loss of any life is hurting. Especially if it's at the hands of someone, especially if it's not a natural death. If it's at the hands of someone that I already have anger inside of myself because I already feel like how dare they think that they can do that to a human being. So that added with the layer of a white cop and a black pedestrian or black man, obviously would hit home, being the color of my skin. And it just brings back all the injustices and the hurt of that injustice, the hurt that, I'm raising my children in a corrupted, dysfunctional, awful world. It's really the hurt that, I have to sit down and have a conversation that I really didn't want to have with my 8-year-old because, I'm in my head, I'm like, she's a child, she's a baby, I'm trying to navigate that still. And even I was talking to my sister-in-law about how she's had it with her older kids. And then thinking about my son, I have a son who is Black, physically, and I have Black cousins, nephews, and I always put a personal touch to something like that, and how would I feel, and the emotion is overwhelming. Like James was saying, how is the loss of life of his family, his friends, and loved ones, there is no future for him going forward. So, it's definitely hurt, but there is that silver lining that I am a Christian, and I do believe that God is moving, as corrupt and as awful our world is. I do believe that God is moving and bringing a change. And even some of the videos that I've seen over the past week of people coming to Christ at the location where it is, where he was arrested, the brutality happened. It's nice to see that people are coming to Christ. So it's just a constant prayer and pleading to our Father that let everyone and anyone see that we're not here to look at each other by race and skin color, but we're all children of God.
So for me, it was a combination of all three. It was George Floyd, it was Aubrey from Georgia, and it was Breonna Taylor, who still hasn't gotten justice as far as I know. It was a combination of those three, and I felt really sad. I felt sick to my stomach, like you said, and I kind of felt punched in the gut. It was just such a visceral feeling from all three of those for me. So, kind of processing it for a couple of days, and then for me, I often will take out my journal, my Bible, and that's what I did. I started writing, and just felt really drawn to look at what's God's perspective on this, and this breaks his heart, and it breaks our hearts too. And I was really struck by how much, if you look at the Word, how much he talks about justice. He's a just God, he loves justice, and I just feel like there's a call for justice right now. But where does it start for me? Just like you're saying. So that's where I am in the process of taking that and what more can I learn to understand, and then what do I need to look at me, because there's a lot of implicit bias in me that I'm not even aware of. There's a lot of stuff even from my family going back. We all have that stuff. Where to go back, where we have some patterns of thinking that we have. So that's what I'm asking God, just start dealing with me on those things, so I can have clean hands and pure heart going forward.
Thank you. Oh, yes.
Both saddened and angry. Saddened as an African American male. Rick mentioned, you talked to one of your colleagues about some being thrown. If you go to a gallon of glass, that may be a common conversation. Just to see the three incidents over the last several weeks and going further back, this stuff has been going on. It's just been catching again. I'm angry as a former police officer. I worked with the Connecticut State Police, very fine men and women with integrity. I didn't see any blatant, there's some borderline stuff, but not blatant to that level that what I saw. I would back up a police officer, or if he makes a mistake, I would support him to the hill. But I would not support the thug with a badge. And that's what it was, the thug with a badge. Police officers need to stand up and say, at times when you see something that they take it over. You see something, that's borderline or whatever, you can speak up or whatever, because that's going to be questioning. You see what's happening. Now people on this man, please, the police, which is crazy. But, just seeing that. But the reaction that is kind of encouraged to see the reaction, because we're seeing people, all types of people out there voicing their opinion. People with, all different races and colors and things like that. And it's bringing forth the right to something that's been going on for a long period of time. And people are looking at how to reform and how to address this issue. And that's what's encouraging about it as well. So, it just breaks my heart that, what's being brought on camera and what's not being brought on camera. This goes way back. And what I like about this situation as well is that if they're not condensing to these last 3 incidents, they're talking about 401 years from slavery until now, the residual effects that it's having on African Americans today. And there is, people say, well, my dad and my grandfather were doing the law. I'm not blaming you for it, but at the same time, there is residual effects because we see the pandemic and see how it's affecting our community. And, so they're talking about the totality of the treatment of African Americans in this country. And that's what's really encouraging to me.
Thanks, Tom. Lynn?
to your point, I think for me it's really raised an awareness. You talked about the ripple effects of slavery. And in my mind, I thought, well, that happened so long ago. That was before I was born. We're over that now, right? I thought we'd come a long way. But I tend to look at life through my lens of experience, and what I realized is that, not everybody is having the same experience I have in life. And, how I've been living my life up until now is, a very narrow view of the world. It's been all about my life, my job, my family, my kids, my grandkids, my daily routine, my husband, and I haven't wanted to watch the nightly. I watch, let's say over the last few decades, I kind of know what's going on in the world, but I don't sit every night at 6 o'clock and park myself in front of the television to get, or watch a constant news feed, because it's depressing to me. It fills me with anxiety. There's only so much of that I can watch before I start to feel anxious and depressed. And so I've really limited the amount of news media. It's just been my lifestyle. But, over the last month or several weeks, I do have a phone. So, you can't really escape what's going on in the world if you have a phone or if you have Facebook or, it's out there. And it's really, so since, and I saw the footage of George Floyd's death, and that was clearly murder. And that was an evil man who did that. Evil cops, that whole thing. But I still in my mind was thinking, that's just evil people. But I didn't realize how systemic this whole thing is being felt in the Black community and the ripple effects that you said of racism. So it's made me want to reach out more to people who are different than me, get to know them, and come to understand what their experience in life is, which is not mine. And even the Black friends I do have, my friendship with Jackie was decades ago, but even more recently, like Dolores, I love Dolores. But Dolores came into my world, because I go to this church, It's not like I went out there and I went going out into places that I don't normally hang out and really get to know people. So I wanted to do more. I just want to broaden my understanding.
Good. Thank you, Lynn. I want to say a couple things as we bring tonight's Fireside Chat to a close. First of all, I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight and sharing your hearts and some of your story with us. I'm going to condense these things because we're going to be talking about what we've experienced the last 2.5 weeks, I think, for many more weeks and months to come. And some of us may act, well, what's the big deal? Why now? We all know, or we all know by now, this is not the first time this kind of injustice has occurred. My take, when something is so highlighted before the nation, God is saying something. And it's not like God hasn't seen all the injustices that have happened up till now. But I believe that when God puts something in the face of the nation, He's looking for the response. And primarily, He's looking for the response of His people. Because we are priests in this land as members of His kingdom. And we have a priestly authority and a priestly role that the average citizen in the country doesn't have. It doesn't mean that God's not interested in their concerns. It just means as citizens of His kingdom, born again by His Spirit, and in relationship with Him, knowing our right to come before His throne, one of the priestly roles is to intercede and to confess and repent of the sin that has been systemic and has been generational and has borne lots of destructive fruit. And I honestly believe that the Lord began to highlight this issue way back in the early 90s to the body of Christ. Promise Keepers movement, this was the primary theme of that movement, of building relationships between white and black churches, white Latino churches across racial and ethnic lines. And I think we took that to a point and then we kind of stalled out. And that's how we do most things, isn't it? I think that grace has been released because of those prayers and relationships, but it was still born fruit in many ways. And I think this is an opportunity. And honestly, despite the pain that we've talked about, and I join you in sharing, that's been a lot of what I've felt. I also feel a lot of hope. I feel hope. I think I feel it from the Holy Spirit. This is a moment to seize. This is a moment to respond to. And as I was reflecting upon the night over the last couple of days, kind of getting ready, I mean, we all feel the immensity of this huge thing called racism. And we all ask the question, like, well, what can we do? And it's so big, I don't know what I can do. And I was drawn to the story in Luke 10, when Jesus sent the 70 out into the villages before him. And they went out, they were commissioned to heal the sick, to cast out devils, to proclaim the good news. And they went out and did that. They did the very same things they'd seen Jesus do. The sick were healed, the demonized were released and set free, the gospel was proclaimed, they came back to Jesus, they brought a testimony, they were all super excited about what they'd seen, what they'd experienced. And Jesus had an amazing response to them. He said, and it almost sounds like a non sequitur. It sounds like, they're talking about this, and then Jesus says something from out of the blue. Jesus said, I saw Satan's throne fall. My understanding of that is, as the acts of the gospel were being carried out in those villages and towns, the authority of the evil one over that region was diminished. These kinds of conversations, they may seem small. They may seem, it's just 6 people. What's that going to do? Every time we build a heart connection across the racial and cultural line, particularly born by the Holy Spirit, out of a desire to honor the Creator and to create a bridge of understanding, we begin to dismantle this throne of this thing, this cosmic power of racism over our land. There's a whole lot more that has to happen, get that. But what I'm saying is, these kinds of conversations are kingdom activity. And then when we build a heart connection, and we can pray in agreement, we can pray in unity, and we can pray when we allow our hearts to feel what breaks the Father's heart, and we pray from that place. We're not just mouthing words. We are appealing to His throne. Will you not set this right? And so, over the 50 minutes that we've been sitting here tonight, I want to share with you guys, and those of you who are watching, parts of the throne of racism have become less tightly glued together. And the authority of that stronghold over the region has been diminished while we've been talking. I don't know how much, nobody can measure that, but these are fruitful conversations. So I want to thank you guys all for being here. Thank to you who've been watching and participating with us. Just want to say goodnight, Wellspring. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord.